Let's do this. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cafe, by the way, or Cafe BTW, right here on Twitch, a morning coffee gaming podcast. I'm Andy, a.k.a. producer, by the way, or producer BTW on Twitter. As you know, and as you see, we have a wonderful guest today with us right here below. It's Daniel Pesina. From Mortal Kombat, from many things, actually, we're going to talk about, not just Mortal Kombat, but that is your main amazing, I guess, cultural awesomeness from gaming history that you're a part of, sir. How are you? And thanks so much for joining the cafe. And I don't know if you have coffee, but I'm glad to have you today.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Thanks for having me. And I've already had a couple cups. I get up early, teach martial arts, so I'm wound up and ready for everything.
All right. Well, man, it's so great to have you. And I mean, I personally, we actually talked maybe a few episodes ago about the culture of the arcade in the late 80s, early 90s, which you have a very close connection with, obviously. But before we get into all that, I just want, obviously you have a history in martial arts. So before the Mortal Kombat stuff and all that jazz, where are you from? Give us a little bit of history and maybe how you got into martial arts before we really dig into everything, because I want to hear a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm from Chicago, still here, born and raised in the Midwest. I started martial arts in 1969 with the era of, Bruce Lee era. I was actually inspired first by a series called Charlie Chan the Detective. It was a television series. I think there was they got like 100 episodes or something, and it was filmed in black and white. But my dad and I used to watch it on Sunday together. And I recall one time I saw this short Asian pudgy guy throw this big guy, and actually the big guy is a stunt guy. Now that I know, that you're older, they're stunt guys, but it was still cool to see him judo throw this guy. So I was just like, wow, holy cow. I that's really cool. And then I was just like, my dad was like, my dad served in the U.S. military during the Korean conflict. So he was like, I know how to do a throw. And so my dad actually taught me my first throw. And I wanted to learn more. And my father was just like, man, I don't really recall too much, and I think he just kind of flipped over and let me throw him. And then after he landed, he didn't really want to get thrown again. So he was just, I just kept bugging him for years and years. That was before Carlos was born. So that has to be when I was like 7 years old, 6, 7 years old. So I bugged him for a long time until I was about 10, 11 years old, which he finally gave in and took me for lessons.
Oh, wow. So you did that. Was that something you always wanted? Like, did you always want to teach martial arts or be a stunt person or be a part of the martial arts community in some form of fashion? Or did you have another path that you were like, maybe you wanted to be a lawyer and we didn't know that? Or like, was there any other direction you were thinking before you became a martial artist?
I really, really enjoyed and loved the martial arts. So it stayed with me through basically my whole life. But besides this 7 years, 6 or 7, since I was 6 or 7, wanting to do martial arts till this present day. And so everyone knows I'm 62. I'll be through this year, so I'm not really 62 yet. But
You look great,
it's coming
man.
up.
You look great.
So yeah,
you could throw on those shades, you'd still be Johnny Cage. Like,
yeah,
you'd still be Johnny Cage. And there they are. Perfect.
Yeah,
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, it's my passion. I really love to do martial arts. I like to teach it. I still practice like every day. I do about at least an hour to 2 hours of self practice besides teaching martial arts at here in Chicago. And a free plug, if you're interested, hit me up on social media. On Facebook, it's Master Pesina. On Instagram, it's
Master
your
Instagram right here. Look at this, Daniel. Like Master Pesina right here.
Get over here.
He has awesome videos, and you can check out a lot of what Daniel's doing right now. So Daniel, okay, so let's get into something before we get into Mortal Kombat, and that is, I found this photo on the internet, and it shows you, I believe, right here in Ninja Turtles 2, correct? Is that you right here? Is this you?
It sure is. That's something I posted a while ago. I was talking. We were getting ready to do a fight sequence here, and the guy in the white T-shirt next to me is the
Yeah.
choreographer, Pat Johnson. And he's like chatting to me about because we actually practiced the choreography for about 5 to 6 weeks prior to the movie. It's very different than now. Nowadays, all the martial arts stunt people actually had to know martial arts. They recruited us from a tournament called Battle of Atlanta.
Oh
So,
wow.
so most of the guys there had years of martial art training. It's pretty funny because if you ever watch the movie, you see the Foot Clan always like moving around, big dramatic moves, and that's because the people in the stunt turtles couldn't see. So our job was not to be caught flat-footed, and wherever they would throw the kick is where we'd have to run in front and recognize the techniques that they were doing to get hit by this stuff. So it was
Wow.
actually it wasn't like you couldn't hire an actor to do his own stunts. Like now, a lot of actors like, oh, I do my own stunts. Back in this day, he would not be able to do his own stunts because we didn't have it was the technology didn't support that. So we really had to know martial arts and recognize techniques and fall.
That's
And,
awesome. I actually, someone just asked you, is this Ho Sung Park in the center
yeah, Hosung Pak is in
or
the
Pack?
center.
Sorry.
Yeah, Hosung Pak is in the center, and to his left, the
Here,
other turtle is Larry Lamb.
Larry Lamb.
Yeah, he
That
is
sounds
also in.
familiar.
Yeah, he's in the. I think he was in the. Did stunts for Matrix movies
Oh no way.
for sure. And I'm trying to think is maybe if he did some stunts in the MK movie, he might have done it with that
And the
too.
original Liu Kang, I think, right? That's what they're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, he is the original Liu Kang, and he did stunts for Raphael Turtle
Oh
in that.
wow, he's
Yeah.
young. Oh wow, what year
Well,
is
yeah, we're all
this?
young.
I
We're
mean,
all young.
yeah, but I mean, like,
I
I
think
was
that's like
like, what?
88.
Oh wow. So I was, a soda drinking, candy eating video game player at this time in my life. I was like the kid that loved this. That was me. Like I was the one soaking this up, like as a kid. The number one thing to dress up as for Halloween was a Ninja Turtle. I had a friend that was just always a Ninja Turtle for Halloween. Like, not surprised. You're a Ninja Turtle again. You know? It's a great time, and just looking at this photo is so nostalgic. Do you remember where the set was?
This set was, I don't recall where it was on the lot, but I do recall this set is the junkyard scene. And we had this fight scene in it. And I recall that recently one of our friends passed away, the stunt who did stunts, the major stunts, meaning the attach him to strings and pull him across the sound studio, which was the side two. I recall it being twice as big as uh, airplane hangar. So
Okay.
this thing was really really huge.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it was big enough to park like 2 or 3 Boeing jets in there. It was crazy big.
Damn, damn.
Yeah, but yeah, originally there were like 18 stunt foot soldiers. About half of those did most of all the actual fighting in it, and then we hired another 50 Foot Clan guys to be in the background for it. So the production was huge.
That's awesome. Yeah, and so okay, so you did this movie in the journey of your experience. So how did what was how did you find out about, okay, we want you to do this video game called Mortal Kombat where we're repurposing real images of people into the game? Like, what was the first call? There weren't email back, wasn't email back then, right? So was it a phone call? Like, how did that all just come about? Like,
Okay,
I
yeah, it's kind of to try to keep it short.
because it's a long
But
story, I would
yeah,
imagine.
well, it is kind of long because the main creator of Mortal Kombat, John Tobias,
Uh huh.
he naturally is an artist, and he and my brother Carlos and a couple other friends associated with Mortal Kombat would draw at my parents' kitchen table. So they were friends when they were like in early high school days. So, and then naturally, me being a geek, because I collected comics. My older brother collected comics, and he gave me that habit. He would give me his old comics, and that was even way before Carlos Raiden was born. So I've been a geek since a really early age of comic book collecting. So I would
Nice.
watch them. Naturally, I'd watch them draw and stuff like that, and we would kind of hang out once in a while. John, myself, my brother Carlos, Kano, the guy who did Kung Lao, the guy who did Liu Kang. We were all friends way back then, and we would like go to the arcades together or go to the movies together sometimes. And so we all knew each other. So I just finished doing the stunts for the Secret of the Ooze,
Thanks for the follow, Connor.
and you might want to check on that download.
Yeah, I'm gonna check on that. Yes.
Yeah, because it said it's sent. So
Awesome. Thank you.
So John called me up, and my mom is like, "Hey, John Tobias called. He wants you to call him up." And I was like, I'll call him later." And so a day later, I hear Rich DeVizio is at my front door, and he's like, "Hey, why didn't you call John back?" And I was like, "Oh, I forgot to call him." And so Rich is the type of guy. Kano is the type of guy to stand in front of you until you make that call.
Here's Kano right now. Big guy,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Intimidating
Well,
guy? Intimidating guy?
Really nice guy. He's
Nice guy.
One of my
But
best friends.
You look at a guy with a metal, but you look at a guy that played a guy with this like metal piece on his face, looks bad.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's
cool.
a lot of there's a couple stories we can tell which will shape your opinion of Kano being so tough. Meaning man, that we'll get sidetracked. But if we can touch that point where Kano was deathly afraid of skeletons, he would close his eyes even as a teenager when he sees a skeleton, and that's the reason why Scorpion turns out to be a skeleton in the end. But we could touch about that story later.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Kano was like, "Call John right now." So I called John up, and John is like, "Hey, I have an idea for a video game, and I want you to help me pitch it to this company that I work for. I make video games." And he described of how he made this. He was making video games for this company called Midway Valley, basically game. They started making video games. They were originally created pinball and slot machines.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and I think it was slot machines for the mob or something crazy like that. But anyway, yes. But anyway, yeah, he was just like, I want to do that. Can you help me do this? He goes, I can't pay you a lot, but this will be a small project. We'll probably do 200 arcade games, but whatever ideas you have for this game, we'll put them into the game as part of the whole thing. So I was like, okay, what do we need to do? And so he's like, I want to make a presentation. So I don't really want people to know that we're making the game, this idea of a game. So show up at my work later on at night after everybody kind of goes home, even though there'll be regular workers and there factory workers in there. We'll sneak in and shoot a video there. And then I'll present this video with these drawings that we have to Midway, and for this concept of making a live action fighting game. So we show up, myself, and I bought Carlos, my brother, Raiden, and Rich, Kano, Baraka, Kubal, Quan Chi.
Oh my
later
God,
on,
that's so crazy.
So
wow.
we show up and we're doing martial art movements, and I'm also putting together small interaction fight scenes with them, really small idea. And John shows us a few of his drawings that he has, and this is what basically he's going to present this to Midway. So after that, about
and can I just Midway is a big company still at this time because they're big in the pinball game, right? Like they were they were like one of the big companies you would think of when it came to arcade video games at the time, stuff like that, right? Just so people get scope that they were pretty big back then.
Yeah, pretty big back then. Too, there's another story. I had Ed is putting out baby powder from a bag that I carried a rope dart, which later on is Scorpion's weapon, and that's how that came about. The game.
Oh my God.
A story about that. But yeah, and I used it actually to slide into the splits. So anyway, back to this. So Yeah, no, it's good.
There's so much good stuff here.
About a week later, John calls me up. He's like, "Hey, they want to hear more about ideas about the game. Can we arrange for maybe we can meet over lunch and just talk about the game more?" They're going to send like a manager in to hear about our ideas of the game. And so we're going to meet for pizza with this guy who's manager of Midway. And later on, I found out it's Ed Boon. But I really didn't pay attention like to his name or anything like that. But I just like, okay, we're going to pitch this idea even more because we're going to give him more ideas for this game that it didn't really have a name, but it's going to be a live action game. So during this meeting is when I asked John, I was like, hey, you said that we can do, get whatever ideas in the game is, and I want to change your Japanese ninjas into the Lin Kuei, into the Chinese ninja. They look totally different than the Japanese. It'll still be like a ninja. And John was like, never heard about it. He's like, I never heard of these guys. I was like, exactly. This will be the first time that we can use like an original idea because, it's the 90s. Every ninja is Japanese ninja and they look all the same basically.
Right.
And the Chinese ninja, the Lin Kuei, the Legend of the Lin Kuei, they look totally a little different than the Japanese ninja. So John was like, okay, let me, I told him what book to research and stuff like that. And he's like, okay, well, I promise you, we're going to change the ninjas, the Japanese ninja, and we're gonna add the story of the Lin Kuei and change the look of the ninjas into what people see today. So basically, what they're seeing, what they're seeing is, when they look at the Lin Kuei or the Scorpion or any of the other ninjas, is how I visioned. Naturally, John added color because otherwise it's all dark and difficult to see on at that time on that type of video game cabinet.
Wow.
So that was one of the ideas. And during this pitch to Midway, we talked about having blood in it. We talked about X-rays. We wanted X-rays from an anime called Fist of the North Star. We talked about having battle damage on it. John wanted the characters to receive battle damage besides having blood on it. So that's all of a sudden we were like, okay, so we're done with this pitch. And about a week later, John calls me up and says, hey, our project got canceled. They decided to go with like a mainstream fighting game and try to get Jean-Claude Van Damme to be in the game because it'll make more money than our fantasy.
And this was around the time that he was like kind of popular, I would say, right?
Yeah. I think he just finished like Cyborg or Universal Soldier or something like that. And so they wanted to have like a, and it's all about the quarters. I could see they're not taking a chance that, well, even this project was 200 arcade cabinets. So they would rather put their effort towards Jean-Claude Van Damme and cancel our game. So I think that's where the later on people think that it's inspired by Jean-Claude Van Damme. Originally it wasn't, but two, I can understand how during that time people can change their review of like, oh, it's inspired by Jean-Claude Van Damme. No, that was for two different projects at that point.
Wow.
So
by the way, I have the footage. Should I show it while you're talking, or do you want to cue that up later? Okay.
No, you could just have it in the background, or that way people see it. They could kind of comment on it or stuff like that.
Yep, I got it up. Awesome. Thanks for sending me that. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that guy. That's great.
Yep.
Keep going. This is fascinating. Sorry.
Yeah. So a week later, but maybe a month later, John calls me up and said, hey, that thing with Van Damme fell through. We want to go back to doing our fighting game. 200 arcade cabinets. Let's gear it. Let's do this thing. Are you still interested? I was like, yeah, we're still going to have the Lin Kuei in it and stuff like that. Yeah, we're going to put that in there. Let's get started. So basically, the footage you see is after about working on the game for about, I would say 48 hours. Because originally when I came in, I didn't even have a costume on. John put me in front of a video camera and he was like, okay, do some martial art moves. And so we just started recording martial art moves and trying to organize movement for the game. So John and I spent about 5 days, 8 hours a day trying to make a pathway to the game. So after those 5 days of trying to see what worked, what techniques we wanted to use, after about that 5 or 6 days, we invited Ed Boon to come and take a look to see what we had, what movements we had and how we can make them able for him to program into the game.
Huh.
So then Ed came in and started like, okay, we need this for this. We need, and then he would describe of what he really needed in order for it to, work for a video game. It described hitboxes and how it might, we might have to super exaggerate some movements and for able to read on this type of arcade cabinet. So then we started really working on the game after that time.
So
And
this
it was grueling.
footage is literally the second day of making Mortal Kombat?
No,
Or
no, this footage is probably 50 hours later. So it's not even though it's the original footage, it's not really the original footage. All that other footage we recorded over to make what you're looking at now because we wanted to save money on tape.
Oh, I see. Wow.
Because the budget was so low that we were just like, okay, we're recording over movements that we didn't need and tried to save movements and ideas that we wanted to touch base later and then record over that. So this is, even though this is original footage, is not how we created the game footage. So you can see how this kind of separated. This is how we created the personalities footage, not how we created the pathway into Mortal Kombat.
Interesting. Huh. And like, how did you guys come up so were you guys just coming up with the costumes and just like
John had, like I said, John was really, really creative.
Okay.
And too, like for the first one, we there's me showing Rich trying to help him out. But John was like, what do you got in your closet? And he was like, you got any biker shorts? And I was like, yeah, I got black biker shorts because it's the 90s. Everybody's wearing biker shorts. So he's like, okay. First day I showed up with black biker shorts and some kung fu shoes that I had at home. And John wanted me to be like bare chested and kind of, it was still at that point, we are going to make fun of Van Damme a little bit, but it was originally based on Daniel Rad. Like Michael Grimm was based on Daniel Rad from Iron Fist. So we wanted to have it like a cross between Daniel Rad and Jean-Claude Van Damme at this point, at the early stages of Mortal Kombat.
Interesting. Someone has, this might be a question for later, but he says, how do you feel about everything being CGI now? But I think maybe we can hit that at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that, they have a right to go in whatever direction they wanted. But right. I think if they would have continued with the live action where the people actually knew martial arts that were making it or actually were in the physical, look like they can kick butt as opposed to just regular models, beefy models or regular models type things. I would rather go in that direction. But anyway, so here we are. We're back to this, making the game, and it's slowly, Johnny Cage is like the father of like all these characters because he was the one that we figured all the stuff that all the other characters are doing. Like, like when you're watching this footage.
Let me go back to you as Johnny Cage.
Yeah, as if you're watching this footage, you see a little square that we're out of. That took like 3 or 4 days to develop with the mic stand and stuff because we filmed for 2 days, and then John was like, "Well, we can't really use any of that footage because every time you move closer to the camera, you're bigger than further away from the camera." And I was like, "Okay, let me mark off where to start from." And then John was like, okay, we marked that off. And then John was like, I'm going to put a tape in the back by your head.
There you are.
That way all the characters will be kind of the same height. And so we started doing that. And then the next day, somebody took that tape off the floor. And then so we had to start from the beginning again. So on the third day, we had to retape the floor. And I was just like, well, we should mark how far you need. And I can go forward and backward without the lighting change, because when we were doing the filming, he's like, the lighting change, and we're trying to mess with the lights, because right now at this point we only had an overhead light, and if you're watching this footage, you'll see how the back wall transforms into different things and the floor transformed into different markings. So that happened all about 4 or 5 days before we had even before we had like Ed take a look at what we were doing.
This is a great shot of you I guess instructing I mean, you were doing all the move instructions for most. Would you say all the? I mean, you did it for all the characters, really, right?
Yeah, I did it for all the characters 1 and 2 because again,
Wow.
we John and I were figuring all this how to make the game through it, and he was just like, it's easier if you would come in and help them with that too. You can make changes in them so that way each character would have a look like it was different. We didn't want all the characters look exactly the same. You know, no disrespect to how they're creating again, but today they have everybody's kind of could jump back and forth. There's really the personality isn't really in the pixels or in the image. The personality is in the fatality or general movement nowadays. But before, we wanted to make sure that everybody's uppercut looked a little bit different than the guy before, but still was about this, able for Ed to still be able to program it. So it was like yeah, it was a little chore.
Wow. I mean, it's pretty cool because you guys really did create personalities through this kind of style of video game making. I'm kind of disappointed that they went away from this style too, because there could have been a modern way to do it. Like it could have evolved in the way that this type of style performed in the future. But they just went to CGI like everybody else, So I guess
Yeah.
back to that question, what would it have been like if they went the direction the original ones went?
Well, that is, I have to. It would be different, and I don't want to say any too much in case I get the opportunity, or if there
Sure.
is right now is the opportunity to make another retro type of fighting game, but to have the fighting. Because right now, when I view it, and again, the company has the right to do their stuff, and this is my opinion, but the martial arts really in Mortal Kombat has not changed in over 25 years. There's no growth in it.
Right.
It's the special effects have improved greatly. You've got triple fatalities, but that was an idea we had in the first game. In the first game, we wanted every character to have 3 fatalities. So, but we weren't able to do that just because of time and technology constraints. But so a lot of the ideas that we wanted X-rays in the first game, we wanted tag teams in the first game, we wanted secret character tag teams in the first game, which later on we just settled for a secret character. But
Right.
we had all these different ideas in the first game. One of Johnny Cage's first fatalities was like a brutality that turned into a fatality, but that never came out in the first game. Like Johnny Cage also had his actual first fatality was jump up in the air and put my fist through the guy's skull, and when we looked at the camera, he had a hole in his head. And I understand they use that later on, but all this stuff came up during the first game. We really want, when it was like, oh, we want to do this or that, or just ideas grew. But as far as I view it right now is that the martial arts really hasn't changed. The way they're fighting has not really evolved in it. So, I would like to do something like that. And I saw I saw a comment that
Yeah.
Sonya's leg grab is an impossibility, but taking the generally you have to look at the way we were doing it. Originally, when we were filming like a fireball, my idea was for them to have some kind of alchemy. So you would do this movement, which was basically mixing chemicals and different minerals and making this magic and throwing it at the opponent. So that was the idea of the fireball or the projectiles, was have this alchemy, like from Big Trouble in Little China had the Egg Chen, the guy pull out his magic from a 9 demon bag, and that's the way Johnny Cage throws his first projectile. Huh. So the leg grab too was more of like a fantasy type of movement because we wanted mixed fantasy with martial arts like in the old kung fu movies. So that's where all that crazy stuff, even though it was not it wasn't plausible, it was kind of like we wanted to make this like a fantasy fighting game.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, you're kicking people off of these pits where they fall down and get killed by spikes. It's not real. I mean, at least I don't think it's real. I mean, it could be technically, but someone mentioned I don't think they would be able to do the bone breaker moves or the super fantastical moves in the same way they do it now with CG. But that's just because of CG that they're just doing these crazy things. Like, I mean, you
No, but you
obviously,
could. But again, we got that from the anime Fist of the North Star. So even when you look at the movie, they cut to CG to do that. So we would still be able to do that with CG, but the whole thing would not be CG. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hopefully they know what I mean.
It's called Fifth of the North Star, right? Fifth of the
Fist.
Fist. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Fist
Spitting
of
all over.
the North Star. Let's
Yeah.
see. I don't think I've heard of this. Oh, cool. Let's see.
Got a lot of blood in it.
And it's primarily like a fighting anime?
Yeah.
Kind of?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I should watch this, I guess.
Yeah, this is old school. I really love that. Oh, look, it's Sonya running.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to watch this.
Yeah.
So this was a lot of the motivation for Mortal Kombat.
Different. Yeah, different things. Like again, Iron Fist, Chang-Chi, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, which is going to be a movie that if you look at Liu Kang in number 2, he looks exactly like Chang-Chi, master of Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. So Jax is Power Man. A lot of Marvel inspiration comic books came into Mortal Kombat, which is later on owned by Warner Brothers and DC. So it's the first crossover. DC Marvel crossover is really Mortal Kombat.
No way.
My
okay.
opinion. My opinion. Yeah.
That's amazing. Is this, by the way, I found this random video. It says Mortal Kombat 2 promo, Daniel Pesina versus Tony Marquez. This, I don't know if you see this yet.
Yeah, we shot that when they told us that, hey, the guy who bought the rights, the producer of Mortal Kombat movie, is here. Can you guys put together a fight scene? And who they kind of told us, as I recall, they're like, hey, maybe you'll get in the movie. So we put this actually fight scene together in about 30
pretty
minutes.
Awesome.
Tony and I in about 20-30 minutes, and then we did it in front of the producer for the movie, thinking that maybe we had a chance to be in the movie, but he didn't put us in the movie. So and again, he bought the rights, so he could put whoever he wants in the movie.
Right. Now, getting to that, and I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but obviously, I did some research and I know that there were some issues when they started releasing it to the console for when it comes to like property rights for you guys weren't aware of that. Is that right? Or they kind of surprised you like, hey, we're releasing this on Genesis, Super Nintendo, and all these things, right? What was that like for you?
Yeah, originally, like I said, John and Ed promised me that there would only be 200 cabinets. The joke was, when I was originally pitching this game, I was like, you're going to make 201 because I'm going to get a cabinet. And John and Ed are like, no, you know how much they cost? They're like over $5,000 to make. You're not getting a cabinet. We're only making 200 games. I promise you. So then when they pre-sold 10,000, I approached them and they're like, don't worry, I'm sure you're going to get a bonus. You're going to get a bonus. Don't worry. Keep working.
Right.
And I was like, okay. So then when it was going to home, I was like, John, it's going to home. And then John was like, well, that contract you signed says that, we can make it to go to home. And I was like, John, it says arcade, a video arcade. It doesn't say home. And then John was like, don't worry, they're going to give you a bonus. You did all the work on this. You helped create this thing. They're going to give you a bonus. And he's like, when it first came out, he also put me on the side of the cabinet. He was like, I'm going to put you on the side of the cabinet because of all the work you did for us. You should be immortalized on the side of the cabinet. How cool is that?
And I want to say,
that's really cool.
Daniel, as a kid, your photo is a very iconic photo because I was in the arcades with the original Mortal Kombat machines where you were on them. Because didn't they take you off them? Am I wrong? Or
eventually they did. It's just because of image rights. It's just because the whole they own Mortal Kombat and they own that particular setup, but they don't own my the complete right to my image because I never signed it away. Because again, I only signed a release for a arcade cabinet. I never did for the other things.
Yeah, welcome Stash to the stream. I have it up here. There you are, looking all cool with your action kick, and that's an iconic photo, honestly, from like the arcade experience as a kid. It's interesting. So so as of today, is there any bad blood between like the old, Mortal Kombat people, or are you kind of like everything's like hunky dory these days?
Well, it's not. Well, naturally, it's not completely uh, completely everything is under it like personally. And again, this is just speaking from the heart.
Right.
Still John Tobias was my friend before Mortal Kombat. He's still my friend. I consider him a friend still. And also just so people know, like sometimes your friends really can't help you out. If best to seek a lawyer and to get as soon as you see things changing, and as far as too, I don't, I always give Ed a hard time, just over it. I'm not really have a friendship with him or anything like that. And I do give him a hard time because he was the manager of the game. And in my opinion, being the manager of the game, he should have taken better care of me and the other actors, because we were the ones who pitched the idea to him. And we were there, and John and I created like a pathway to the game, and before he was even involved in the game. So I still am a little bit more bitter towards him,
Sure.
because I thought, and maybe he couldn't do anything, to help protect us, but me being in it as he was the link between management and the actors, just everything fell on him. So I'm a little bitter towards that type of thing. No ill will to him, but a lot of things, don't, the actors don't get their just, as far as I'm concerned, get their just credit. Like Get Over Here. Get Over Here was created by Rich DeVizio and created the phrase "Get Over Here" when I was doing the rope dart, a weapon which is used to pull horsemen off their horses in the old day. Yeah. So he's the one who is credited. He's the one who created that, but he never gets credit for the creating Get Over Here. You know what I mean? You never hear about that.
That one saying has been memed, used in references to video games for years since Mortal Kombat came out. I have a question for you, Daniel, from the chat here. We got it highlighted, so they want us to see it. Mortal Kombat 11, of course, being the current developed by NetherRealm Studios. It's common to have a guest characters. DJ Dimitri Vargas took over the role of Sub-Zero using his likeness and voice in Mortal Kombat 11. Do you think there's a possible opportunity for you to have the same situation with maybe taking over as Johnny Cage again with your likeness and voice as well?
I could not see that possibility, just because they would have to. There's so much to embrace. You know what I mean? And two, so many things would come into question as far as how the game was actually. The corporate and John and Ed have their story now, and then the people who were there before them all agree on their story too.
Right.
And so they would have to be like, oh yeah, you co-created Mortal Kombat, and that's a big thing for them to, I think, admit. Even though they, if you really look at it, John and Ed didn't know any martial arts. So how would they come up with martial art moves? And two, why would I need to pitch the game to Midway if they already had the idea? Midway already had an idea of a fighting game. Then there's no need for me to come into the studio and make a videotape of me doing this martial arts for them to get the presentation. Two, there's no reason for Midway to send a representative to meet with me, a non-employee, to talk about ideas for the game and change the Japanese concept into a Chinese concept. Hence, the figurehead is Scorpion, and the way he looks, I had a big hand in that creation. So that would all that would have to be kind of admitted, and I think that would open up probably a big something big. You know what I mean? So I don't think so. In the end, I don't really think that they would do that.
I almost laughed out loud because Biff put a comment during your speech here. The "Get Over Here" line was a pickup line I tried for a brief moment in the 90s nightclub scene. You're funny, Biff.
Did it work?
I don't know, Biff, did it work? So that's so here's the thing. As you know, there's been a lot of see the end of the comment, he says, was single for that moment. Okay. Uh but uh, that's a hard no. Oh my god, that's really funny, Biff. Oh man, now I got sidetracked because I'm thinking about this joke. I guess. Oh, what I was thinking about is now there's been like a resurgence with like retro nostalgia because they released like the NES Mini, the Super NES Mini, and even releasing mini arcade cabinets and making the feel of an arcade cabinet cheaper. So they have a company called One Up Arcade or Arcade One Up. I'm sure you've heard of them,
Yeah,
or maybe you've heard of them.
yeah, they're cool.
But why can't they make like I think the Mortal Kombat game, if they decided to make a game that was just a throwback legend, like a an anniversary game, and they brought all you people back just for the anniversary game, I think people would love it, would buy it, and I think it
Yeah.
would be very good for you guys to like give you guys the love you deserve. I mean, they're on Mortal Kombat 11. And obviously putting like weird. What do you think of them putting weird characters in Mortal Kombat like Terminator and the Joker and stuff like that? Is that strange to you that they're doing that now?
Yeah, I think that it's just like the creative, again, and it's my opinion too. So, but John Tobias being the father of really of Mortal Kombat, without that drive, without his vision, you know what I mean. And two, it's like, people really don't know that Midway said no for the first round to Mortal Kombat, that they didn't, that they said no to John and I, that, we're not going to do Mortal Kombat. We're going to do a Jean-Claude Van Damme game. That's a big, that's
So
that's very similar to the guy. Remember there was a guy, and I think he was in the Sun Times or Tribune, who said Michael Jordan could never carry the team or never be a superstar.
that was a mistake.
Now that guy's eating crow, and basically Midway did that.
Oh man.
And so again, it's hard to be part of that team that said, "Oh, they didn't have the vision." So, looking at it now, I think without that the guy who had that vision, it kind of goes all over the place. And although I'm a big fan of Terminator, I love the Joker and I love Aliens.
Yeah.
I think they need their own game because they don't know martial arts.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I think Mortal Kombat should just be about who knows martial arts, and Terminator could have his own kick butt game.
Sure.
And and Alien and Predator, any game with that I would buy. So in my opinion, I think they should just not have the extra characters, and they just, even superheroes. Remember, superheroes have a superpower. They don't really have like a technical skill.
Yeah.
When Superman throws a punch, he doesn't need to be efficient. He's going to destroy anything he punches.
Yeah.
So that's much different than a martial art game or martial art people doing martial art movement.
Desert says they should make an action movie star fighting game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's getting a little off-brand when they're starting to do this ridiculous stuff. Now, it works in a game like Super Smash Brothers because that's just like video game, like a mishmash. It's meant to be a mishmash. Yeah. Mortal Kombat is built on the ninjas, the story. How do you bring in Terminator? Like, come on. I think it's a little too much. I mean, but this is like video games today, right? This is kind of like what's happening, evolution.
It helps them promote whatever Warner Brothers has going out. So you usually see a character coming out when they have a movie coming out. So it helps that cross stream to develop that revenue. And two, they own it, so they have every right to do whatever they want with it. We're just talking with friends amongst friends, and what you're hearing is my opinion.
Yeah, and I guess geez, Daniel, that was awesome story. I'm sure there's more stories, but I guess a good question to ask you is, looking back, not looking at like kind of like the negative things that happened from it, but the positive from it. What does it mean to you to have been part of that kind of history in video games? Because I really feel like Mortal Kombat has definitely become a staple in the video game culture and continues to. But what does it feel for you, like going through that, being able to have gone through that? How does that make you feel?
Really, in just in general, I'm always happy when I see Mortal Kombat stuff. When I see Mortal Kombat, people playing it makes me happy. When I see the old ones, all those old stories, or all the way we created it. When you see scenes, you know, I know why Raiden says that crazy stuff he says.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a whole story behind that, how that craziness came out. So when I see stuff like that, I recall that type of thing, or I recall, you know, the way we were goofing around making the set and the jokes we were doing, and why, you know, different characters do different moves, or just in general why things from the game all have little stories that are connected with little fun stuff we had. You know, as I said, I was going to mention. Hopefully, I'm not taking up too much time.
Oh,
but
you're great.
but really quick. So John wanted me to blow flames for Scorpion's fatality.
Okay.
And me being a smart butt, I was like, John, I'm not going to do that, because if I blow flames, my mask and head will be on fire. And so John is like, hey, don't be a jerk. But he used a harsher word. Pull down the mask. And then Richard DeVizio, Kano, was like, he's deathly afraid of skeletons. So he's like, what if
his general consensus is that he just tells everyone he's afraid of skeletons?
well, the whole thing is, like, when we were in the early days, when we watched seven, like we all really enjoyed the old movies. So we watched Sinbad and his 7 journeys, or something like that, where the skeletons come out of the ground, and he would cover his eyes during that scene, even when he was like a basically 21-year-old guy. He would still be afraid of that. So he was just like, what if you pull off the mask and it's a skeleton? And he's like, and then we're like, oh, and he's breathing fire. And then I'm like, his head is on fire. And everybody was like, really? That came out like, so that's how, you know, whenever I see Scorpion do that move, I would just recall that story of how we were making that up, and how it was like, oh my God, that's so, you know, that would be so cool. And then when I see it, it just always reminds me of us goofing around doing that stuff. And we did that through the whole making of 1 and 2, you know, just of how we were just having so much fun just making the game. And they would just let us, and that was part of the deal to make the game. They would let us do whatever we wanted. So we knew that we can say anything or do anything, because the agreement was with John and his friends were, you can put whatever you want into the game.
Huh. That's amazing. I mean, I think it was just like a rare, you were in the right place, right time kind of situation, right? I mean,
Yeah.
And I wonder, because you brought that up, like, if they would have said yes to the Jean-Claude Van Damme game, Mortal Kombat might not have ever existed, and they would have made some like Jean-Claude Van Damme game. And
yeah, it might have made a few quarters, but it wouldn't be like legendary.
It wouldn't have been legendary.
Yeah, it was going to be designed just like what is that, Karate Fighter, where Jean-Claude walk around and beats up people and goes to different levels. So it would have been just like a regular mainstream game.
Wow. I mean, geez, I mean, and I guess I have to ask you, and yeah, someone did mention he did become Guile in the Street Fighter movie, believe it or not. So I do have a question about Street Fighter, though. What was your take on the kind of competitiveness of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat in the 90s and currently, just like the growth of both of those franchises that kind of went a linear path during the right time? What's your take on Street Fighter, believe it or not? I have to ask.
In the early days, and when it was in arcades, I played Street Fighter. And my only complaint about Street Fighter whereas when the artist drew the techniques, I was like, those techniques, nobody can kick like that. You'd break your own leg. You know, I don't even care about, you know, the special effects of it are really, those are probable. You know what I mean? Because there's special effects, there's some kind of magic to it, but there's only X amount of ways you can kick or punch or so those stuff would have to look, you know, they didn't look real to me. And when I got this opportunity to do Mortal Kombat, I was like, oh, I'm going to make sure that everyone does moves that would actually work in the realm of martial arts.
So you can almost say that that Street Fighter actually like kind of motivated you to make it more realistic as possible. In the way that the moves were.
Yeah. Like one of the things that I did because I love Street Fighter so much is the way Sub-Zero throws his freeze. that's a tribute to Street Fighter.
Ah,
I just did the technique correctly, meaning I didn't scrunch my fingers the way he scrunched his fingers. If he's going to strike with his palms, your fingers have to be up and down and doing it like this to do it correctly. If you're going to do a tiger grab, then you do it kind of like what he's doing, but not like he's doing, because you would break your finger. So that was kind of like my I want to pay tribute to Street Fighter because I like Street Fighter, but I'm going to do it correctly
right.
in my own egotistical head, because Johnny Cage has an ego that I gave him.
That's no, and it's a great ego.
Yeah,
He's
so
badass.
so different things. It was just like, okay, this is the correct way to do it, because if I was going to apply it a different way with the fingers bent, I would be doing a different technique.
A lot of people are saying a Van Damme game would have been as legendary as Shaq Fu, which was I don't know
Yeah.
if you know Shaq Fu. So
Yeah,
Daniel, are you generally a gamer? Like, you sound like a comic nerd like me. I'm a big comic nerd, but were you? So I'm assuming you were also kind of a gamer or into video games before you got
yeah,
into this.
yeah, man. When I would go into Midway early, because John would let me go play all the games for free that were
Oh,
going on at
cool.
Midway. So I did a lot of Defender, Centipede, whatever games they had there. I would get to play a little bit before we started working on the game, and I was like, loved it too, because I didn't have to spend any quarters; they were all on free play. So yeah, even for a while, I don't own a system now, but when the Xbox came out, I got one. Love to play Halo,
Awesome.
Call of Duty. Like, I like the first person shooter games. I also like Resident Evil, games like that. I usually don't go like fighting games, because again, I am a martial artist, so a lot of times most of the games I see, I'm like, the fighting is not great.
Yeah.
And again, with Mortal Kombat, for what we had, we went through the ideas of having different styles and different fighting techniques, but because the camera was a high camera owned by John's dad, it wasn't like a professional camera, but it was as good as a camera as a general person can get without spending 10 grand.
Sure.
It wouldn't allow for a lot of techniques that I wanted to do for Mortal Kombat, as far as like being like a more of like, a game closer to, man, what are those guys? Some of the other games that then came out later. I was like, ooh, I would love to do that at MK, but we could not do that because of technology restrictions.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the budget for it. It
Uh,
was so low budget.
I mean, I'm impressed that the mechanics of the game were so good for how low budget it was, or at least the setup part of it before they did all the coding and everything. I mean, but I guess you were doing it at the same time, technically. Biff says, could you imagine being online in Halo with Johnny Cage and you never knew it?
It's probably happened for a while for a lot of people who did not know it.
So yeah, no, yeah, I'm fat. I guess believe it or not, I've learned a lot more about this game that I love. And I can't thank you enough for coming on. But I want you to hang out because we give out a game by playing a game called Stream Racer that everyone. But I can't let you. Before we do that, we have some requests. Could you put on the glasses and say you got caged? Could you give us a little? I think Al asked.
You got caged.
That was amazing. So good. What were some other famous lines you did or you helped do and stuff? Or
Well, I don't think as far as like famous lines, but my favorite fatality is a fatality that I created, Sonya's Kiss of Death. I actually came up with the idea for that one, as well as Melina and Quintana's fatalities, but that was all most of the fatalities came off when us goofing around on the set.
Yeah.
Like don't recall which one, but there was somebody came in and said a smart comment to Catalin, who plays Melina Quintana, and she came right back and said a smart comment, and I was just like, oh, she ate you up. And that's the reason why one of them goes close to you, eats up your bones, and spits you out.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, it's kind of like the story is. I'm trying to make it socially acceptable. There's a little bit more deeper than that, but that is the general idea
Oh
of
my God.
how that fatality came up from what was happening during that time. And I was like, she's just, she's a man eater, man.
Yeah, whoa. I didn't know that. Everyone says nice fact. They all appreciate, they said that made my day when you did the Johnny Cage thing. I got people cursing, even saying F yes. Haha, love it. Nice fact. That's amazing. Are you cool to hang out and watch a race for our fans? Let me show them what I'm giving away. I'm giving away, let's see if I have this game here. It's called Dust Force. I'm going to play the trailer a little bit so you guys can check it out. I think it's some cool platforming game. And then we're going to race.
Fight.
I love indie games, by the way.
Yeah. That looks like Joust, kind of like Joust. I love to hate Joust.
I'd love to hate Joust too. It looks like you're a rooftop sweeper, and it's a platformer, and I guess that's why it's called Dust Force.
That's pretty cool.
All right, so everyone gets the GIF. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a quick break and get Stream Racer going, and Daniel, I'm gonna bring you onto the screen with us so we can watch the race.
You're gonna do a get over here? Come here.
Oh, yes, please give us that before we go to the game. Get over here.
Get over here.
One more time.
Get over here.
Nice.
Not as good as Rich, but it'll do.
Your Johnny Cage was amazing with the glasses. Actually, someone just said, I already said it once, but I'll say it again. It's still crazy to think that my first ever video game experience was the first MK game on the Super Nintendo. I was 2 years old at the time, and I'm 19 now. It was great hearing from the man, the myth, the legend, Johnny Cage. Hope you all had a great rest of your morning. Thanks, Waffles, for coming by. We really appreciate that.
Yep.
You don't want to hang out for the race, Waffles? I want you to race with us. So let me get us off screen for a quick second. Let me load up Stream Racer so we could play this real quick. And then I don't want to hold up too much more of your time, Daniel. But I want to give a game away.
Yeah.
How do you play Mortal Kombat at 2 years old, though? That I don't understand.
Just smash buttons and think you're playing. Too, he could have been playing like just the the screen without being logged in. You're 2 years old. You're just going at it.
Here we go. Got Stream Racer working. So, Daniel, you should see a screen now. I think I messed up your camera, though. Let's see here.
I see Stream Racer.
Let me just fix you here. There we go. Okay, so we're going to give a game away today, and basically how it works is just put exclamation point. Oh, but let me start the game first so we could do that. All you do is put exclamation point race in the chat to join the race. Oh, it's loading. I wonder why not. I hope it's working today. It says loading. Never loads. Huh. Well, Stream Racer might not be working today.
Oh, fatality.
That's a fatality.
It is a fatality.
It's just doing loading screen. Oh man, I'm sorry, folks. Let me redo this. I'll be right back, folks. Hang out with me, Daniel.
Yeah.
I'm gonna reload the Stream Racer.
No problem. Take your time. It's
If not, we're just gonna have to do
nut punches.
Yeah.
People need to record them punching the nut of their best friend.
I love that.
And then send it in, and the winner of the best face will get the game. Now I'm just talking out of my butt, so don't listen to me, or listen to me. It's up to you, but that would be funny.
All right.
Yeah, social distance nut punch.
Well, you know what? I am so sorry, people. Stream Racer's down. But I'm still giving the game away. Let me think how to do this. Daniel, let me think about something. Is there a way you could shoot me an email your favorite number, Daniel?
Okay, I'm doing that right now.
So guys, let's put in the chat, drop in a number you think, and can you give us a range? What's your favorite number? Is it 1 through 50, 1 through 20?
Let's do 1 through 20, but I just already sent it.
Okay, 1 through 20, guys. Guess the number that Daniel just sent me. What is his favorite number? Let's put it in chat. Put it in chat to win the game.
We got a 19, we got a 17. Keep rolling.
I don't think I got the email. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, I got the number. You guys have not guessed it yet. Nope.
13, 15.
Nope.
Remember 1 through 20.
You guys can keep guessing.
7.
Nope. 1. Nope.
General Sol.
Nope. Not 1. Keep going. It hasn't been picked yet.
Not 3. Not 3.
There we go. 9. Al, you win. You win the game. Congratulations. That's Daniel's lucky number. Daniel,
yeah.
I am like so happy to have you. I would love to have you back because I feel like there's more to talk about, but I did want you to talk about what you do now. I have your Instagram up on the chat. Talk to us a little bit about your current days. I know that right now you usually go to conventions, but how can we activate with you? How can we reach out to you and follow all the stuff you're doing?
Yeah. Again, shoot me a message on Instagram. Even if you just want to say hi, I try to get to all my messages. Sometimes it takes me a couple of days because there's so many, but yeah, you can Instagram Master D Pesina. Right now I teach martial arts, mostly privates. Naturally the class stuff I only used, before the pandemic, I only did 2 days a week worth of classes anyway, because most of them are private, but now I've been doing online lessons. So you can also reach out to me if you have a favorite weapon or something you want to learn, or two, if you just want to say hi, like I said, leave me a message on Instagram. That's probably the best way to do it. So again, Facebook Master Pesina, Instagram Master D Pesina, Twitter is Master Pesina. I tried TikTok, though that's more entertainment. I've been trying to post stuff on there. It's pretty cool. I'm always like on there for a long time, just watching people do crazy stuff.
That's so funny. Yeah, I've been getting on there. We actually have a TikTok. And speaking of that, if you do want to check out this episode, and I will have it to watch again. It will become a VOD, video on demand, so I will tweet it out later as well. And awesome. Daniel, I'll also share that with you so you have the full episode, because a lot of people will catch this as a video as well. So wanted to say hello to the people that tuned in from VOD. Daniel, I hope you had fun. I hope you like the way that we do this kind of show. It's very much shooting the shit, very casual, just fun. And we learned a lot today. And, I don't know how else to thank you. But I was thinking one more thing before we end the stream. Could you do the Johnny Cage one more time with the sunglasses? And we're going to end the stream. And I want everyone to thank this wonderful man for coming on and sharing such great insight.
Cafe, by the way. You got caged. So get over here.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Daniel. Awesome. Shout out to everyone. Remember, you could follow the podcast every Saturday at 8 a.m. PST. Next week, we are finally doing a reunion of my original podcast around the game Destiny. It's a Destiny podcast reunion. Daniel, I used to do a podcast around the game Destiny for 4 years, and we're getting back together next week as a little reunion.
Getting the band back together.
Getting the band back together. So I'm excited about that. Everyone is so thankful for you in the chat. And again, I thank you. Everyone just stay safe out there. I know times are tough, but I hope that this show brings a little light to your day and your start of your weekend. So Daniel, again, thank you so much, sir. Master Pesina, we appreciate you. And yeah, we'll talk to everyone next week. See you later.
Stay safe, people.